Born in the early 1960s, once innocent little kids who turned out to be the most influential and cold-blooded murderers.
If I tell Rashid kill him, Rashid must kill him. Otherwise I kill Rashid.
In the late 1960s, the Group Areas Act created forced removals of colored people from so-called white areas to a less desirable part of town. What is now known as the Cape Flats is a place where millions of colored people and black people were relocated. The brothers were born in Dieprovie in 1961, when the Staki family were forcefully removed to Manenberg, a poverty-stricken and without access to proper infrastructure and services. In order to survive in a city where the government oppressed any other color that were not white, Rashad had resort to petty crime for survival, which then later dragged his brother Rashid also into this, which led to Rashid being one of the most feared gangsters in Cape Town.
That's why you always see me alone. You will always see I drive alone. I don't drive with people.
Why not?
I'm the boss. Did you know I'm the boss?
Rashad was known as the man behind the operation, and Rashid more of an enforcer, which is how they came across his lifestyle. Rashad was just about 9 to 10 years old. He collected and hustled just to put food on the table. By the time the twins reached the teens in the 70s, they were actively dealing in drugs and were able to make some money to provide for their family. As they grew older, they became more aggressive and influential within the Cape Town underworld. By the 1990s, the twins became notorious gang leaders, which is known as the Hard Livers, which grew so big they had a numerous amount of members of gang all around the Cape Peninsula. The Hard Living gangs participated in a range of crimes, such as armed robbery, dealings of guns, and drug distribution. To their people in the area, they were seen as Robin Hood, robbing the rich and giving to the poor.
You see, so that is what it rob the robbers. Yes, rob the robbers.
Rob the rich man, give it to the poor. Go watch him.
They were known for handing out bread and milk to the community, even going as far as tossing out 10 rand notes out of the window of the car, which is why they were able to get involved in numerous amounts of shady dealings and no one saying a word about it. This has also forced them to create enemies with other rival gangs, known as the Americans as well as the Mongrels. Under the rule of the Staki brothers, the Hard Livings took part in violent gang wars that led to a bloodbath in the streets of Cape Town, and all of this for turf, guns, and drugs. They also used to deal in armed weapons amongst the enemies, in order to gain power and respect and distill fear in their enemies. It has been reported that these were guns that were received from police officers who would claim that their guns went missing or has been stolen, only to sell it to the gangsters.
Did we have? Do you know how many police did we have that bring us guns?
This being said, the Hard Livings were relatively small in comparison to their rivals, the Americans. The Hard Livings had the power of 10 times their foot soldiers due to operations including extortion, owning taxis, prostitution, dealing in armed weapons, and most importantly, selling drugs. Stakis, also known as, and I quote, one of the last of the Cape Flats OGs, and through their reign, the Hard Livings gang had grown internationally and even been interviewed by the BBC. The Staggie brothers were the main subjects in the BBC documentary called Cape of Fear. It is through this documentary that the brothers got the attention from people all around the world. Now what caught people's attention is that these guys really meant business. They actually stood for something. The Hard Livings, coming from nothing, being conditioned and molded by circumstances and surroundings. During the apartheid years, it was even said that the members of the ANC spoke to the brothers to bring ceasefire within the community, which goes to show the influence that these brothers had within the underworld.
Waarover gaan die meeting?
Maar die kan gewoon gaan wijzen dat ik gewoon dat ding moet bouwen.
Waar?
Die ding gaan niet met die man. Hoe zal het? Die ding gaat voor my nie wil is die reassurance vir die residents gee. Dat julle as mense
Nee, ons gaat naar een meeting toe komen. Als ons nog daar gaat is, en die plegers en huis, daar zijn nog altijd blijvige gevoelens.
ja, maar ek dink ons moet mekaar voel nie. Die punt is julle is invloedryk. Julle is die invloedrykste groep in die land. Ek glo julle gaan 'n rol moet speel. Weet jy julle lyk of nie.
On the 4th of August 1996, when no voice is hushed, no life treads silently, but clouds and shadows wander free. Rashied Staggie was brutally shot and burned to death by members of Pagat, a notorious organization of vigilantes operating in and around Cape Town in hopes of ridding gangsterism and drugs. Pagat marched in London Road, Salt River, when they approached Rashid's house, asking him to come out. Unfortunately, it was Rashad that got the short end of the stick. Returning home to find a group of fed-up people, gunshots fired at Rashad's vehicle, with one firing through his head. A petrol bomb was thrown at him, and when paramedics approached, they were told not to treat him as he kills our children. Unfortunately, Rashad has not survived this brutal attack, and thus left the rest of the weight leaning onto the shoulders of only one brother, Rashied Staggie. In 2003, Rashied Staggie was sentenced to jail. After hearing, he was convicted for ordering the gang rape of a 17-year-old girl who had turned state witness against him. Staki was then sentenced to 15 years for kidnapping and rape.
I must go his murder. All the people see I killed the guy. Yes.
Does this mean you're going to go to jail for a long time?
No, not for a long time. I shall kill the witness too.
At the end of July this year, just months before Staki's expected release on parole, the family's worst fears were realized. Gunmen shot Knight and her boyfriend Romano Oliver in an open field late one night. After a few weeks in hospital, doctors told the family there was no hope. They switched off Knight's life support. Then, last Friday, while collecting money for her daughter's funeral, Chantel's mother found out she's actually very much alive. It's believed police had lied about her death because gangsters had been searching hospitals for her.
In 2004, he was convicted of burglary from Foreign Police Armory and sentenced to 13 years in prison. The two sentences were served concurrently. In May 2013, the Western Cape Department of Correctional Services announced that Staki would be released on parole for good behavior in the late September 2013. In 2013, when Rashid has been released, it has been made aware of that Rashid has left the life of crime behind and even turned from Muslim to Christian.
It's a great thing, man, because he all these years, he was long in prison. That's why the gang fight is going on and on. But if he come out, no more gang fight.
Rashied is the only one who's gonna make a change, make peace and such stuff.
I feel very glad about Staki. All the time he feeds me, asks me anything, he gives for me. At any moment I ask him. He's always kind to me and my children.
Due to the reputation and influence he has, many have chosen not to believe that he left their life behind. This later led to the death of the underworld kingpin, Rashied Staggie.
Flats gathered at a local sports field as part of a funeral service from the notorious gang former leader Rashied Staggie.
Rashied Staggie.
At the age of 58 years old, on a Friday morning, 13th of December 2019, Rashied Staggie was sitting in a friend's Parole sedan outside of his home in the area of Salt River, Cape Town, when two assailants approached the vehicle and shot at him numerous times. They rushed him to Grootersdorp Hospital and it was reported that Rashied Staggie was announced dead on arrival. Rashied died on the same road as his brother Rashad, London Road. Unfortunately, if you live by the gun, you die by the gun.
If they kill Rashid, they kill all the HCLs. I'm sure, then. I'm very sure about it. Because if they kill Rashid, then I myself won't have the guts to go on with this gangster stuff.